Hello, I welcome you all to this class. So today we shall be looking at the index notation. And when we talk about index notation, we are talking about a method of shortening the product of numbers that are the same. For instance, if you have 2 times 2 times 2, this is the same as 2 raised to the power of what? 3. So the 2 here is called the base. The 3 here is called the power or index. Okay, so there are laws that governs the index notation in mathematics, and these laws are called the laws of indices. Laws of indices. So there are many laws of indices. The first one is the multiplication law. Multiplication law. So this law says that if you are multiplying numbers that have the same base, for instance, if you have m raised to the power of x times m raised to the power of y, that what you need to do is to take one of the base and add their powers. So if you are multiplying numbers that have the same base, it doesn't matter if the powers are the same or not. All you need to do is take one of the base and add their powers. Let's take example. Example, if you have 2 raised to the power of 3 times 2 raised to the power of 4, this will give us 2 raised to the power of 3 plus 4. And this will give us 2 raised to the power of what? 7. 3 plus 4 is 7. You can see their base are the same. So we take one of the base and we add their powers. Okay. So the second law is the division law. Division law. So the division law says that if you are dividing numbers that have the same base, all you need to do is take one of the base and subtract their powers. For instance, if you have m raised to the power of x divided by m raised to the power of y, all you need to do is you take one of the base and you subtract their power. So we have m raised to the power of x minus y, but we take one of the base and we'll subtract their powers. So let's take example. Example, if you have 3 raised to the power of 4 divided by 3 raised to the power of 2, since their base are the same, all we need to do is we take one of the base and we subtract their powers. They are dividing. We have 3 raised, so we have 3 raised to the power of 4 minus 2, and this will give us 3 raised to the power of 2. So the third law of indices is the power law. So we have the third law of indices, which is what? The power law. So this law says that if you have a number raised to a number and then raised to another number, all you need to, for instance, if you have x raised to the power of a, then outside raised to the power of what? B. So you have x raised to the power of a, then raised to the power of another power, b. All we need to do is what? We multiply the two powers. So this will give us x raised to the power of a times b. Let's take example. Example, if you have 3 raised to the power of 2 times 4. So this will give us, so here we have 3 raised to the power of 2, then raised to the power of what? 4. So what we need to do is we multiply the two powers. So this will give us 3 raised to the power of 2 times 4. And this will give us 3 raised to the power of 2 times 4 is what? Is 8. So this will give us 3 raised to the power of 8. So the fourth law of indices is the product power law. And this law says that when you have the product of different factors inside the bracket raised to a power, all you need to do is to distribute the power to the various factors inside the bracket. For instance, if you have AB raised to the power of x, so we have to distribute the power x to all the numbers or all the factors inside the bracket. So we'll have A raised to the power of x, and we'll have B raised to the power of x. Let's take example. If you have 2x y bracket inside bracket, now raised to the power of 3. Now this will give us, we have to distribute this power to each of the different factors inside the bracket. So we have 2 raised to the power of 3, x raised to the power of 3, then y raised to the power of 3. And that will give us 2 raised to the power of 3, that is 2 times 2 times 2, and that will give us 8. So we'll have 8x raised to the power of 3, y raised to the power of 3. Now, the fifth law of indices is the zero index law. Okay, the zero index law. Zero index law. So this law says that anything raised to the power of 0 is 1. So we have anything raised to the power of 0 is 1. Now let's take example. We have 10 raised to the power of 0 is 1. A raised to the power of 0 is 1. 1000 raised to the power of 0 is 1. So anything raised to the power of 0 is 1. So let's go to the sixth law. The sixth law of indices. Now the sixth law of indices is the negative index law. The negative index law. So the negative index law says that anything raised to the power of negative index is the same as the reciprocal of that particular number. Okay, so when you have anything raised to the power of minus, so when you have x raised to the power of minus a, this minus is the same as 1 over. Then 1 over, you bring every other thing down. So we have 1 over x raised to the power of a. Okay, let's take example. So when you have 2 raised to the power of minus 3, now this will give us 1 over. So the minus here becomes 1 over. So we bring every other thing down. So we have 1 over 2 raised to the power of what? 3. That is example 1. Now example 2. If you have x raised to the power of minus 4. Now this is the same as 1 over x raised to the power of 4. So anything minus, power of minus, is the reciprocal of that particular thing. So that when I talk about reciprocal means 1 over. Okay. So the seventh law of indices is the root power law. And this law says that when you have a number raised to any given root, all you need to do is to find the root of that particular number. For instance, if you have x raised to the power of 1 over n, all I need to do is to find the nth root, okay, of x. And of course, we have different type of root. We have square root, we have third root, we have fourth root, and so on. Okay, let's take example. Example, we have 4 raised to the power of half. Now, this is something as what? The square root of 4. Now, if it is 2, you don't need to write the 2 here, okay? Because this itself represents a square root. So since the square root, we don't need to put the 2 here. But apart from square root, if it is 3 here, we need to put it here. If it is 4, we need to put it here. So here is the square root. So we'll find the square root of 4, and that will give us what? A number of times 2 times to give us what is inside here. So we have, that will give us 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Let's take another example. We'll have 8 raised to the power of 1 over 3. So since this is 1 over 8 raised to the power of 1 over 3, we'll open a root. Here is our 8, and here will be our 3. So this means the third root of 8, and that will give us a number we should times 3 times to give us 8. Okay, and that will give us 2. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is what? Is 8. So the 8th law is the fraction index law. And this law says that when you have a number, for instance, you have x raised to the power of a over b, okay? All you need to do is you open up a root. Your number, which is x, you put it here, okay? The denominator here, okay, you put it here, and then the numerator will now become the power here. Let's take example. So when you have something like 8 raised to the power of 2 over 3, okay? Now, this is the same thing as the third root. Your 3 comes here, you open up, then your 8 comes here, open up a bracket, and then the numerator here, you put it here, okay? So this will give us the third root of 8 raised to the power of what? 2. And this will give us, first of all, you solve what is inside the bracket. So the third root of 8 is what? Is 2. Then we'll have raised to the power of what? 2. So that will give us 4. So this is the answer. So thank you very much. Now in our next video, we shall take so many examples. We are going to be taking so many examples under the laws of indices. Make sure you subscribe, you like, and you share this video, okay, so that whenever we post new videos, you can follow up and understand what we are doing. Thank you very much.